in a world full of negative people. Hey man, I'm just trying to be a positive guy, a positive farmer, a positive outfitter. This is a Shark Farmer podcast with your host, Rob Sharkey. Whatever.
And welcome again to Shark Farmer Podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Rob Sharkey, and today we're going to go out to North Carolina, East Bend, North Carolina. We're going to talk to Kevin Matthews. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing fine, sir.
Okay, so where is East Bend?
We're in the Yadkin River Valley at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains near Winston-Salem, kind of north of Charlotte. A lot of people here where we farm at. A lot of cars, bicycles, many obstacles in life to deal with.
So you're farming in a fairly urban area?
Right into the city limits of Winston-Salem.
Okay. Hey, you got bicycles? You got to drive around those guys?
Yeah, they're worse than a car or a truck. Those guys, you get a pack of 30 bicycles and they don't even know what a combine is. It's kind of freaky.
You probably don't drive down the road with like a bean head on, because if you turn that on, they will scatter. Trust me.
You don't carry no headers up and down the highways here. I mean, it's all you can do to get a dual wheel combine up and down the road. And we run escorts and I actually have video cams, dash cams on the equipment now. We've started doing that just for liability.
For your benefit, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If it doesn't show my benefit, I ain't got a camera. That thing wasn't working.
Okay. All right. You might want to keep that last nugget to yourself, Kevin. Okay. What are you growing out there?
We grow corn, soybeans. We grow soft red winter wheat and barley, mostly no-till. In our river valleys, we do a lot of vertical tillage, mainly to handle the flood debris from the winter floods that we have.
All right, Kevin, I got to do an ad. Is that all right?
You in charge, man.
I guess. I like it doing ads because I enjoy the paycheck that comes along with it. This is a different one. This is kind of an ad for kind of myself. And I agreed to do it. It's part of those things that you got to be careful what you sign, right?
That's right.
All right. Today's podcast is brought to you by Shark Farmer TV. Hey, Kevin. Actually, it says, hey, guest name. Hey, Kevin, would you like to see a program on RFD that would highlight people in agriculture coming from the internet?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it said wait for reply. It actually said wait for reply. It's a horrible ad, Kevin, and I apologize. Here's the deal. I'm doing a show with RFD TV, and we're going to take people like these, the funnier videos and the pictures, the neat pictures. Actually, I just put one in there of a guy that was doing turf harvest. You ever seen a turf harvester? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of that here.
Yeah. So we're going to show that, and I stand in front of a green screen, and they're showing it behind me, and I'm supposed to add this is not my words, supposed to add my sarcasm like wit. I'm really glad you laughed. It's coming out in March, or I think February, March. I don't know when it's coming out. But here's the thing. I would appreciate everybody watching it. The people at RFD, they know how to do TV. It's not going to be like a fly-by-night type of thing. They're actually making it look good. But we're also always looking for new videos and pictures that are funny and or interesting, or people to highlight on the show. And we've had Skype interviews with some people that are doing ag social media, ag YouTubes that maybe you haven't heard of, but you probably should have. I'll give you a little spoiler, Kevin. The very first episode, we talk with Andy Detweiler. He's the harmless farmer. You ever heard of him?
I've heard of him, yes.
Yes, and it amazes me the people that haven't. But if you watch him on YouTube, a farmer that lost his arms, I mean, it's just amazing. So that's what we wanted to do. Wanted to bring people to a different audience on TV so that they can be highlighted. So Shark Farmer TV coming soon to RFD TV channel. I don't even know. It's on Dish Network. I'm sure you can find it out. Kevin.
231.
Is it really 231? Yeah,
I believe that's right.
I'll edit that in to where it sounds like I said 231, so they won't be mad at me.
I think that's right. You can double check it. Google it.
All right, Kevin, I have been wanting to talk to you for quite a while. I think our mutual friend, Matt Falk, kind of put us in touch with each other. We talked about you are a farmer out there in North Carolina, and how long have you been a farmer?
Really my entire life, Rob. I grew up on a large tobacco, potato, and corn, soybean, wheat operation that my dad and uncles had. Their father passed at a real young age. Dad was in high school, and they went from boys to being the men of the family. So we kids come into it. We didn't have hobbies. It's called work. Everybody done it, so we just thought that was the cool thing. And, heck, I was the cool kid getting to drive a tractor up and down the road while the rest of them was out playing baseball. But we enjoyed it, had a great childhood. The 80s was real bad on us. With the urban sprawl, the grading business got to be extremely good. So they sold the farm my freshman year of high school, and me being the stubborn one wanting to farm, my uncle had about 600 acres. I rented 30 and exchanged my labor on his 600 to use his equipment on my 30. Wasn't a very good exchange, but, hey, I got my feet on the ground and got going, and we're now, my wife and I and kids, we're farming nearly 6,000 acres now with our double crop. And it's just, we never wanted to be this big. It just kind of took off, and we worked hard every day. Everybody said we couldn't do it. My dad didn't want me to go for school for agriculture. My mom didn't. And so one of my good friends, he was the same boat. Our moms was bound and determined we boys wasn't going to do it. So I got me an electronic engineering degree. He got an avionics degree. He's the largest dairy farmer in the county, and I'm one of the larger row crop operations in the county. And our mamas probably still ain't happy, but we're loving it. It's been tough, oh, golly, it's been tough, but it's been some real good times, too.
Larger, 6,000 acres out there, I would thought that would be well and beyond what I would have said the largest would be.
I got a friend of mine, him and his brother are around 10,000, and they're just exceptional growers, do a fabulous job. We're probably one of the biggest in the county that we're in, but we're spread out over 4 counties. We've got, 120 landowners, so we got a lot of fields, small fields.
Is it hard to pick up ground out there?
It used to be. That was the hard thing, and I think that's anywhere as a young farmer starting. But Rob, if you do every acre like it's the only acre you got, do the absolute best job you can do, get involved with your community, get involved with your commodity associations. So many people watch everything you do that the land will come to you. And, we turn away land now. I actually got too big, and I cut back about 500-600 acres. We just wasn't doing a good job. We're producing record crops, breaking records every year in some awesome peer group. I like to be the dumbest one in the crowd. I want to surround myself by very, very smart people and glean all I can from. I've done it for years, and it just pays huge dividends. But, you can start this business, but you got to work hard at it. It's no different than anything. You go get a public job and you get married and you borrow money to build a house, and you're banking on that paycheck coming every week, but you don't know if you're going to walk in on Friday and find out you're no longer employed and you still got a house payment to make.
Yeah.
Kind of like farming, same deal. But
let's dive right into what you've been going through for the past few years. And honestly, I don't even know where to start. So I'm just gonna let you start.
When you and I met, when Matt wanted to hook us up together to share with other farmers, so many shared with me that, I like to share my mistakes with others so they don't make the same ones that I made. I ain't always successful, but Lord knows I identified the mistakes. With that said, a few years back, several years, when I first started, I went to the local bank, and that's who I dealt with. And same loan officer, man, it just went great, Rob. We, whatever we needed with that bank, it grew, and they bought another bank, changed names, and then this, that, and other. But I always stayed with my original group of guys. So whenever the new bank come in, they just took us right on to the next bank, and life was good. 20 years, same lender, same tellers, same everything. You couldn't ask for life to be no better.
Which I think in agriculture is fairly common.
Yeah, we get a trust in the relationship, and we don't want to change, if it's working good.
Yeah.
As long as you can improve on it. Now, if you can't improve, you need to change. But we had an awesome group, the top guys of the bank. We met twice a year. they actually encouraged me to do capital investments and capital improvements that, I would have not done had it not been for their encouragement. As the Dodd-Frank banking laws come into play, it started really cramping down on these small community banks, and ours was the largest community bank in the state. Even at that size, it made them vulnerable to all the regulations they was going to have to face. Their cost of business got worse and worse, and then some of the shareholders come in and decided, hey, we need to cash in on this deal and get out of this bank and take our profit and run. So that's what happened. And so, we try to control the controllables, but, this is an uncontrollable to a point. I had all my eggs in one basket. I had everything with that bank, all my operations, my real estate, my home, everything. Luckily, my home was nearly paid for.
For people that aren't in ag, once again, I would say that's the norm. I'm guessing that's a norm in agriculture. I know we are. We're all in one spot.
A lot of my friends are with the farm credit system and things like that, and they got everything there. It's just one lender, it's one balance sheet to take, one set of tax returns to do, and they build that relationship and trust, and they learn each other, and it's a great deal. But Dodd-Frank just went in here and all these small town banks. It just really was a bad deal by the government, and they've realized that, and the Trump administration has been able to make some changes and make it easier for the banks, less regulations, and our landscape all over the U.S. Everywhere you go, you're going to see the small town banks. It's just they went away, and it's really sad. We was a victim of that. So lo and behold, we have a board meeting in March, 3 years back. Have this board meeting, and they want this capital improvement done on the grain facility. They want some more irrigation put in, and that's where we're really making our money at with our NetFM SDI drip irrigation. And so we go ahead and we commit to it, man. I mean, we underwriter signs off on it, everything. All we got is an agreement. That's all we've ever had. We didn't get things in writing. We never needed to. All these years, the whole board sits there and approves it, so you're good to go. Lo and behold, we get steel in the air, and we get irrigation in the ground, building a pond dam, and getting structures done and everything going. We get ready to make a draw and find out that the bank's being sold. I'm like, what's going on here? So we go to make the draw, and they couldn't come up with the money. So there I was from something that was a 10-year payout that was immediately a current liability. And wow, that's a gut blow right there.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
We kept working, but the gist of the story is we had everything in one location, and it was such a bad deal because we done it the good old boy way. Our lender always, if they told you on the phone you could do this or do that, I guarantee you that's how it was going to be. But when the people come in over them, they didn't see it that way. So the new bank, when they come in, they took over. 4 weeks after taking over, they walked in our office and told us, said, hey, we don't know anything about agriculture. We bought this due to the urban sprawl areas and the construction and the parts businesses and the portfolios of the bank other than agriculture, and said, the sooner you guys can find you a new bank, the better off we're all going to be. And so there we was with a capital improvement that they chose not to fund. Operating note. Now, hey, keep in mind, Rob, this is in the end of April, 1st of May. We're planting corn wide open, and our operating line's cut off. Yeah, that was a sleepless night.
All right, let me break in here so that I know completely what happened. On my mortgages, I know on my loans, I know on my operating note that when I sign that, there is something in there, even though honestly I've never read them. There's something in there that says a bank can call those in at any time.
That's correct, yes.
Is that what happened to you?
Yeah. The financial institution has the right to call a loan at any time, and they don't have to justify a reason. But with the Dodd-Frank bank law, when one bank buys another bank, if there's certain accounts that they don't want, it allows them to liquidate them to sell them to other institutions. They can't necessarily call the loan, but they can get rid of the loan. But in my situation and 55 other of us, there was 55 of us that was affected by this here in the state. First, the operating loan, they cut it off. And then when we questioned it, they come back and cut it back on immediately, but let us know that it wouldn't be renewed. You know, they give us 18 months is what they give us to find another lender, basically. 6 months into that, they actually sold all the notes to a investment firm, and they was very difficult to deal with. You know, they pretty much, you know, our 15-year real estate notes, they would not even send you a statement when your note was due. Yeah. Luckily for me, I've got a CFO and a controller that works in the office that are both CPAs, and they tell me when the bills are due. And not everybody's got that luxury.
No.
And honestly, if I had had a CPA on staff, you know, I would not have known all the black and white language. It's a serious deal. The reason for telling the story is we all get so comfortable with one lender and everything's good. Myself, I had already years before that, I wouldn't do anything unless I had at least 3 members of the bank present. And that was a very smart move that some financial advisors had given me years back. And so let's say your loan officer has a tragic death, unexpected, and nobody else in the bank knows your business. Well, then, you know, you got to teach somebody else. Well, if you got a couple guys at the bank that knows it, it just makes life a whole lot easier if something happens. And just say something happens to me and Miss Cindy is sitting there in charge, and she goes in there and she's never met but one guy at the bank. And she's like, well, I don't remember it that way. You know, I don't remember Kevin saying that. Well, if you got 2 or 3 guys there at the bank or ladies that's involved in your account, you build a relationship and you feel like they're looking out for you. If something happened to me, that would make it much easier on Miss Cindy. It's just good business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, like, again, I don't know. We're creatures of habit in agriculture, and I know that's the way my dad always did it. He was with one place, and you had 18 months. Did you have problems finding another lender?
Yes, because what killed us, we had certain multi-unit deals that we was doing with John Deere with our large fleet of equipment. Our current liabilities was out the roof because what you don't realize is when you get down anything under 12 months and under is a short-term liability. So when you got a short-term or current liability, that really changes your debt service ratio versus a long-term liability. Let's say you got $100,000 short-term, well, that's due immediately. Well, let's say you got $100,000 a long-term, and that amount of money is due over the period of time it's supposed to be paid back. Let's say $100,000 is a 10-year note, so you've only got $10,000 plus interest per year. That really hurts you when you go to try to fit in the box of all these regulations. It has been one more challenge to try to get a lender. You know, fortunately, having a CPA on staff, that made it better, but it still, in some senses, it almost made it harder because we had so much information, was so transparent with it, that in some ways you felt like you'd be better off not showing all your books. But I've always had a very open relationship with my banker. If I've got a good year, I want him to know it. If I've got a real bad year, I want him to know it quicker, because we need to prepare how to get around that bad year.
Yeah. I would assume, if this happened to myself, that I would assume that I could go to like Farm Credit, Rabo. I could go to one of those and say, hey, this is what happened. I know that you're a good operation because I know people that know you. And I would assume that I could just go to those companies and they would say, oh, okay, yeah, let's set this up. But that's not the way it is.
That's what I thought too. And see, we had a double-edged sword thrown at us that I never thought about. Didn't even know it existed. All my balance sheets was based off market value on my real estate. They had appraised it for the best that it would bring, and that's how it was done. But what I found out after leaving my local bank there when they went out of business, when the new people come in, when you deal with a lot of these large companies that are agriculture, they look at it as what's called an agriculture appraisal. A good example, we've got land right here that if you price it, I own some land. If I price it at $50,000 an acre, you best be ready to sell it. But that same tract is going to make an agriculture appraisal at about $5,500 to $6,000 an acre. So you lose tremendous equity.
Because they're just looking at the value as far as agriculture?
That is correct, not what you would actually sell the property for.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. There's a lot of ground out there that their ag value is tremendously less than if you would put it on auction.
That is correct. They're not trying to penalize you. It's just the way the rules are written within the Farmer Mac situation, because you got Fannie Mac, Farmer Mac, and, they set the rules on a lot of this stuff. So it's not that your farm credits or your Rabos are trying to be hard to get along with, because they've got rules that they've got to apply by. As one of my friends says, well, you just got to fit in the box now. Everything's about fitting in the box.
I know this story because, like I said, we've been talking, I don't know, maybe 3 years about this, and I've kind of followed you along this. If I was just hearing it today, I guess I would be shocked that you would have such a problem. You brought up the fact that some things have changed in legislation. What's happened there?
And I'm certainly not a professional on it, but what the bankers has told me is they've relaxed it where the guidelines they have to follow are not near as strict as they was under the true Dodd-Frank. The Dodd-Frank actually hurt the small town banks tremendously. I'm not qualified to tell you what all the changes are, but I just, from language and conversations I've had with lenders, they said it's just made a tremendous improvement, but there's still a lot of improvement left to do. Their hands are still tied pretty tight.
Okay. So not only did you have this happen to you, but it happened to you at like the worst time.
Yeah, I mean, we had these capital improvements going on, so we were sitting there with a huge amount of money that normally would not be in your portfolio or your budget, and all of a sudden that becomes a current liability instead of a long term. So that made it real bad. We were so blessed here in the Carolinas for the hurricanes to come visit us and the floods. So it was just one weather event. And really, we've had two real bad years. 17 and 18 was ugly years. 19 was a below average year, and we had really hoped for 19 to be an average year for us. If the Lord blesses you with an above average year, that's awesome, but you hope He'll at least just give you an average year. That's what we count on, the averages. It's been tough. I'll just be honest with you, Rob. I don't know how, and I've had several come to me and said, Kevin, how have you managed the stress on it? Well, I'll tell you, it's been rough. It's beyond. Over the years, when they first come to me, I'll never forget, for a week there, you'd wake up in the middle of the night sweating because you didn't know what to do. But the one thing that always gets you through is your faith with the Lord. And I'm just so blessed to be brought up in a Christian community, Christian home, pass that on to my kids. That's the only way you do it. I don't know how people handle it without it.
Yeah.
I sure couldn't.
Yeah. You are a good farmer. You're an established farmer, 6,000 acres. You're not one of those 6,000 acres that is going to be broken a couple years on regular things. I mean, I'm trying to establish that I know that you have a very, very good operation in what you did. You are whatever generation, this is all you've ever really done. How close did you come to losing it?
We're still not out of the woodwork. I'll be honest with you. We can't have a bad year. We've got, we just can't have a bad year. And it's just, you don't know. We're big budgeters and big finance people. I'm really anal about that kind of stuff. Probably worry about it more than I should. It was in the Lord's hands. And I put it in His hands. I said, if you don't want me to be a farmer, you let me know. You use me however I need to be used. It seems like it's all working out. We're starting a new business up. And when it's going to be teaching others, there's several of us going to be involved in it. Actually, I'm hoping you'll be a guest speaker in there for us some. We're going to launch it at the Commodity Classic. It's funny, everything just kind of comes and goes. We got a lot of irrigation work we do. I just try my best to help other growers. avoid the mistakes that I've made, whether it's agronomically or financially or whatever. And so many people don't want to talk about it. I teach a class at NC State in the fall, and I teach one in the spring, so they can hear it from the farmer, not the professor. These young kids that ask me questions that I openly share with my children that are wanting to farm. My daughter graduates with a business degree in May and a crop science and economics degree, and she's coming back to the farm. I'm ready for her to take over and go, and then my son and I, we can get out in the field and work and do what we enjoy instead of being in that office so much. Every one of us, as a first-generation farmer, we're really, seems like one bad crop away from being out of business, and much less something that you can't control come in. We can have crop insurance. We can kind of see a drought coming on. We can see a flood coming on. We can prepare for it. But these other things, it's been educational now. I tell you what, it's been the most stressful thing I've ever dealt with in life.
Yeah, I don't like this story. I'll be honest with you. I don't like it. I started out and made a massive mistake raising hogs with no forward contracts, and I should have gone bankrupt. I mean, we didn't because the whole industry went bankrupt, and the people that we owed money to said, please don't go bankrupt. You can pay us $10 a month. That's the only way that we really survived. And then I worked my tail off, and I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable. And to hear something like this, I mean, you multiply what I am because believe me, it doesn't take much to be a better farmer than I am. You definitely are. And to hear that something like this could happen that could take it all away, this is not a comfortable story for agriculture.
Well, to put the icing on the cake, the year before this happened, the bank nominated me as the Farmer of the Year for the county to the Chamber of Commerce. So the County Chamber of Commerce, we're mostly urban sprawl, and we was named Farmer of the Year and everything. And the bank, my loan officers and my financial officers there at the bank, really, they were so proud. And and then less than 12 months later, they're all unemployed. And I didn't tell you this part. So I go into the bank on a Friday. I knew everybody there, and went in on Monday morning. I knew one person, and she is working out her 2-week notice.
Oh, really?
So that's how it happened.
You do realize that you were a stereotype winning that award, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You get put on the front page of Progressive Farmer, and then the next thing you know, the bank folds on you. Like, what the heck?
Was this an established bank? Was this the bank in the neighborhood for farmers?
Well, we're the minority here. There's a lot of tobacco farmers, a lot of small farmers, but the bank had a lot of agriculture in it. But it was the largest state community bank that we had. But when the people from up north come in and bought it, the first day they met with us, that's when they asked us to leave, and they told us, they said, we're going to get rid of these rural banks. We're really wanting to focus on the urban areas, the cities, the larger metropolitan areas. So that's what we're going to focus on. That's why we bought the bank. We didn't buy it because of you guys. The sad thing, in my hometown up here, the bank building's sitting there empty right now, and it's got a for sale sign on it, and they put a deed restriction that there can't be no other banks there for 5 years. And
why is
so
that?
It's just a slap in the face. It's just a slap in the face to the community. They didn't want, they don't want no competition or something. I don't know.
Huh.
Really sad situation. Real hard on the community.
Well, Kevin, thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you did. I imagine there's a lot of people, a lot of farmers, good, bad, indifferent, that would have gone through that and would have never told anything because they would have felt like they did something wrong. It was embarrassing or whatever. So I really appreciate you talking about that, which kind of leads me into something you talked about earlier. You said the importance of peer groups. Now, I've heard good and bad about being involved in peer groups. What's your opinion of them?
I love them. Golly, I've learned so much. You got to have a good group. Everybody's got to be involved. Can't be a one-sided group. And you got to be open. And you don't repeat what you're told in the group. You keep it confidential. The things that you as a group decide to share, you share. We're actually starting a company. It's extremeag.farm. Will be the website. We're going to launch it at Commodity Classic. There's growers from myself here in North Carolina. We got Illinois. We got Iowa, Gregory, South Dakota, Arkansas, and Alabama. And it's a group of us that's all worked together, and we've all talked and shared ideas, bounced ideas, and we've all had great success in growing crops. A couple of them had great success financially as good financial advisors and making good decisions. Others in the group is excellent success in marketing and futures and options and trading. We're all going together. We're going to offer the things that we've learned, the mistakes we've made on a membership-based platform, and we're going to offer it to the world. Anybody that wants to get involved, we're going to be there. We're going to share what we do, how we do things, how we test products on our farms, how we test equipment, how we set up equipment, what products we can't make work, what products we can make work, what financial structures work for us, what financial structures don't work for us. It's going to be an introductory level. So I think back to my beginning farmer days, I didn't have extra money to spend. We'll have a lower introductory price for those guys, and then we're going to have a higher price for the ones that wants to call us and ask us questions and send us emails and whatnot of that nature. Then later on, we've got some ideas to introduce, and we'll just see what kind of community we get. You know, my goal is to avoid someone from making the mistakes I made and make a little money on the way.
That never hurts, does it?
No, Miss Cindy really appreciates that.
Have you ever done anything like this before?
Yes, we have. We've been doing it we hadn't done it on website base with that type of audience, and we'll be using videos and pictures, and we're hoping this shark farmer guy might want to do some podcast with us. And,
I've heard about that guy. He's weird.
They say he's pretty weird guy, but he's got a pretty good following. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's mainly people that can't change the channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but hey,
I was curious.
You deal with what you got, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like Matt Falk or Hefties. You know, you just kind of have to deal with who you got there. You know.
Yeah, I will say that shark farmer guy is not as weird as that Matt Falk guy. I will say that.
He's a bird. You know, we go around. I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of presentations for groups. We've always shared what we do. We be very open. I've always allowed people to email me with questions. I used to do let them call my cell phone, and then it got to the point I was talking on the phone 10 hours a day instead of getting my work done. And then while I was working and talking, I was making stupid mistakes. So I said, I'm not that talented, so I'm going to have to regroup. Y'all send me an email instead of calling me all the time.
That's some advice you could share in a peer group. You know that?
Yeah. Well, actually, that's kind of where we got it from. You know, it was like, send us a text or send us an email. All of us do that. So that's kind of where we're at. You know, I go out to the Ag PhD field day and share out there, go out there and run my mouth for 3 hours. Goodness gracious, Rob. Why would anybody want to hear an old Southern boy from North Carolina for 3 hours and ain't got good grammar?
It's the accent.
But, I don't know. But we're a little slow down here, I guess, but we're not stupid. So, you know. I actually had a fellow tell me that one time. I just laughed.
I hope he was local.
He was actually a landowner, so the landowners can tell it how they want to say. You know, you laugh at it and go along. They're always right. They're kind of like the banker. The landowner's always right.
There's something else that you mentioned. It's something that I had to learn, and I'm sure there's other farmers out there that are going through it, that are going to go through it, that have gone through it. You said you've cut back. There is a big push to get bigger and bigger and bigger because that's what you're supposed to do, right? If you're going to survive, you got to get bigger. I know in my case, I rented ground and, I didn't make money on it first year. I'm like, well, it was a bad year. Second year, I didn't make money. Third year, and then I eventually dropped it. I don't know why I even rented the thing in the first place because I felt like I had to get more acres. What was the reason why you cut back?
We actually sat down and this was during good times. We sat down and looked. We got all this data now. Goodness gracious, data, yield maps, soil maps, weather maps, solar radiation, tissue samples. I got all this data. So we use our data. We study it. And every acre we have a budget for, every farm. And, we got field sizes. I've got some as low as a half acre, and I got some as big as 125 acres. We got many, many fields, many, many issues. So you got to eliminate your wildlife damage, your shade from these. We got huge oak trees and poplar trees, big trees here. So you get a border effect, what we call it. Lots of times it might be a zero. So we sat down and we almost needed more equipment to get everything done timely, and a little more help. Well, if you add more equipment, add more help, then you got to add more land, because then you're over your fat instead of lean. I'd rather be on the lean side. We just didn't want to get bigger, and we felt like we was too big for what we had, because we wasn't getting things done on the time that I wanted to be done. Now, we were still getting done in time to help others finish theirs, but that ain't the point. So we looked at everything. We looked at the acres that simply was not making no money. I mean, when we had $7 corn, we couldn't make no money. Well, if you can't make no money at $7 corn, why the heck are you farming it? Get rid of it.
Yeah.
So we got rid of that. I mean, Lord, there's people renting it just as fast as they could get it, which is some of that land's done turned hands a couple times since. We're heavy on equipment if you look at us, but the problem is in the South is we don't have many hours of run time during the day. Cutting soybeans here with our humidity, you're not going to start to, 10 o'clock start in the morning is early. Sometimes it's noon before you can actually get going. And then about 6 o'clock in the evening, it's going to shut you down. With draper heads now, we can run a little later. You're going out there and running like a Trojan, and then you just got to stop. So you got to match your equipment and your acres up. So these combines has gotten very expensive. Headers has gotten outrageous. The equipment, the iron, is just unbelievable how expensive it is now compared to it was when I started. So we got to maximize that and fit it to the acres. I mean, Rob, that's just what it's all about. A friend of mine, he called me the other day. We help each other a lot, and he's helped me a lot through these tough times. His balance sheet was extremely strong due to some things that had happened in his life. That was a blessing for him. He is a large farmer and large operator, and he said, Kevin, I ain't sure what I want to do. I said, I can tell you what I do. I said, if you'll cut back 60%, you can cut your equipment back to this. And I said, you can spend your time and manage that 40% phenomenally. This guy's smart. He does an awesome job. And I said, if you'll manage that and get 100% more out of that, I said, man, with as good a grower as you are, just think if you could take all that energy from that 60% and put it into that 40%. I said, at the end of the day, your ROI, you're going to end up netting nearly the same money. I've seen it too many times. You got to do a good job. You got to grow a good crop. You can just get too big. The detail and the little things is where the money's at.
When you talk about your farm decisions, you use the word we. I wonder, you're working with other people. Does that help take some of the emotion out of it?
It does, but, at the end of the day, I'm the owner. I'm the president. I'm the one that signs the notes. Miss Cindy and I are 100% responsible for everything, so it comes down to us too. But it's going to be we. If there's nobody else involved, it's me and the Lord. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm the most imperfect Christian that's ever walked, but I try. My farm manager, he and I, we sit down and make decisions together. My cousin looks after all the servicing and the parts and the equipment. I don't even order a part. If I need a part, if I have a breakdown, I send my cousin a text. Me and him's farmed together our whole lives, and he didn't want to be an owner. He just wanted to be an employee, and I begged him to be an owner. He's smarter than I am on stuff, but that's what he wanted. So he's got a auto mechanics degree from Nashville, Tennessee, from the auto diesel school. I've got an electronic engineering degree, associate degree from a local community college here. It has a pretty tough program that we like to go to. Between my electronics background, his mechanical background, I look after anything electronic, whether it's at the grain elevators, equipment-wise, anything computer-wise. I manage that front. My cousin looks after the mechanical part. My farm manager, he mainly looks after the help. That's my downfalls, managing help. I ain't got the patience for it, and he's just great at it. He's just got the patience of Job and goes right on. And that's the way it's got to be. When it's all about I don't know how you make it. Some people do, and they're successful at it. But I got to have a teamwork.
I brought up emotion. I will admit to this. I had a farm. It was not making money. It was not a good farm. I shouldn't have rented it. I was paying way too much for it. I let it go. 1,000% the right decision. That next spring, when I saw another tractor in there, it's embarrassing to tell you how much that bothered me. Yeah, what advice you give people that are going through stuff like that?
I did the same thing. You know, I had some land, and it looked like good, and then that year that farmer done good. I was like, son of a gun, here I give it up, and now the first year out the gate, he's done good. I guess I spent all that money building it up, and now he's got rewarded by it. I shouldn't have given it up. The very next year, he had the same years like I'd had past, and he come to me, and I told him when he called me, he said, did you give this up? I said, I ain't going to talk to him. I said, yes, sir. I said, it's yours, but I said, I'm just going to tell you, I've not made no money in 4 years off of it. If you can make money on it, so be it, but I can't figure it out. Well, he did the first year. He done good. Well, the second year, he called me up. He said, Dad, I ain't going to say what he said on the air, but he said that, I wish you'd have kept that farm. I said, well, I tried to tell you. He said, man, it looks so good, and it quit raining, and bam, said, that's it. I said, I said, that's the way it is. So, yeah, man, that's just a natural. A farmer has such great ties to the soil and to the Mother Nature and crops. You put your heart and soul in it. You pray over it, and you put everything you got into it. And to see it not go the way you expect it, it's tough on everybody. But you just got to remember, that's just the will of the Lord, and that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You ain't got to understand it. You just got to accept it.
Still not easy.
Oh, no. No, I mean, in 2018, I had one of the best river bottom crops that you could have. We was probably going to average 230 or better dry land on river bottoms, which would be a phenomenal crop. Everything was good, and hurricane was supposed to go east of us. It wasn't going to bother none of us. We had it made, and about 11:30, my seed rep and a good friend of mine, he said, let's go get some lunch. And it was raining, So we go to lunch, and I've been volunteer fireman 20 years in EMT, and my pager goes off, and then my phone goes off on my active 911, alerting from the state emergency services, alerting all of us. We get alerted before everybody else, and they alert us that the hurricane has changed paths. It's now headed basically straight at us. And I'm like, oh, man, this ain't good. And, I said, well, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. The next morning I get up. I pull up to one bottom. There's 550 acres of corn right there in that bottom. I mean, phenomenal. And you could not see a single tassel. It was all underwater. I mean, it was like, wow. 24 hours we went from one of the most phenomenal crops we thought we was ever going to harvest to one of the sorriest crops. That bottom right there took me 31 days to pick it, of what I could get of it.
And how big was it?
Last year we put 550 acres. It took 31 days with a 16-row header to pick that corn. We tried everything. Well, then this past year in 2019, we went in there and picked it, which we had some dry weather. The yields was way below average, but it was 165, 170 range. Not what you normally expect for a river bottom. We picked it. It was actually 6 days from the day we started to the day we finished.
Well,
it was just unbelievable.
6 isn't much different from 30.
Yeah. I tell you, and I picked it all myself. None of the employees, because it was so stressful. I mean, you had to cut it. You could not see your header. The auger cart could not see the combine. So you run GPS into black. It's just like fighting a fire. The firefighters know what I'm talking about. You put that air pack on, you go in that burning structure, you can see you might can see your hand right 3 or 4 inches out in front of your mask. It ain't like what they show on TV. as long as you got a flame, you got light. You're searching for that fire, you're searching for that person, and you're totally in the black. Well, just imagine doing that for 30 days straight, every day. And there was days at 3 o'clock in the evening, I'd say, I'm done. I'd just park it. And nobody would say a word. Truck drivers that normally complain about waiting to get loaded, no, nobody said a word about that. You just go to work and you just try a little more each day. One day we cut all day and we picked 6 acres of corn. That was bad.
I've had a day like that. I imagine every farmer has, but it doesn't make it any better.
300,000 for a combine and get 6 acres a day out of it. Boy, that's real profitable.
But hey, the radio's good.
Yeah, I'm too tight to pay for XM to listen
Damn
to
it.
Shark Farmers.
Kevin, the thing about you is how open you are with what's happened to you. And I really appreciate that because it makes me think twice about the way I am borrowing money. A lot of agriculture, if not the vast majority of it, is dealing with some lenders, either on just operating notes or mortgages or whatever. I know that stuff's in those contracts, but, it's just like it never dawns on me that it will actually happen. They would call in a note or something like that. This is a precautionary tale that I'm really, really happy that you shared with us.
If the right circumstances happen that's out of control of your lenders. This situation, we had outsiders come in, took the bank over that had no relationship whatsoever. And they looked at it as a business. That was an area of business they did not want to be a part of, and they liquidated it immediately. The employees that would have normally stood up for it were no longer employed at that bank. They all, the chances of it happening is slim, but I can't remember what year it was, 2012, I believe, 11 or 12, October 31st, about 5:30 in the morning, my broker calls me and says that our MF Global's filed bankruptcy and all of our money's frozen and we can't touch it and we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm like, this is a sick Halloween prank here this early in the morning. And he's like, no, it's no prank. I'm serious. So, that was a huge blow to us. We survived that. And after about 18 months, 2 years, we finally got all our money out of that bankruptcy. And I really thought that was what was going to put me out of business. We survived that. And then lo and behold, several years later, we had this hit us. So I hope that we're done with all these lifetime trials, and I hope we can start getting on the smooth side of things before long.
Yeah, I think you've hit your black swan quota. I think you're limit out on those, so stop shooting.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, Kevin Matthews from East Bend, North Carolina, thank you. And yes, it's great to get this interview. Like I said, I don't know, it's maybe been 3 years that we've been talking and just you wanted to get all this stuff settled up before you told the story. But I appreciate you being honest. I really do. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And, the one thing I will say is what I have learned in this is there are a tremendous amount of options out there when it comes to agriculture banking, agriculture lending. I had never explored any of them, and I didn't know where to go, what to do. And I had to learn fast and hard, made a lot of mistakes along the way, didn't know how to present some of my stuff. So, attend all the financial classes you can find, advising. And, I had a CPA working there for me that was phenomenal, but he didn't know some of it. So don't assume that your CPA has got all the answers. Get out and talk. There's so many opportunities out there, educational things that different farm credit associations do, different ag banks do. And don't just focus on agriculture. Look at how other industry works. Go talk to industry professionals and find out how they're doing things, because if you can learn that, you can talk someone into working that structure into your agriculture business. But remember, it is a business, and I threatened on not being honest on some of my information because I knew my numbers and I knew what they had to be to get their attention, but that just don't work. I did not do that, and I absolutely would not recommend doing that.
Well, I don't know. You're talking about looking outside of agriculture and our own fence rows. That's crazy talk here in farming, Kevin.
It is, but boy, I sure like to do it. If I see a guy doing something successful, I want get inside his head a little bit and see how he's doing it. It just fascinates me, the brilliance and the hard work that some of these people do. You know, we think we farmers are the only ones that get out there and work these crazy hours, but, you know, my grandfather was a businessman. He was in the salvage business, commercial real estate business, and he was into everything. And it always amazed me how hard he worked and the hours he put in. His passion was salvaging cars and trucks and turning property and stuff that was not nice into something nice. And so he had a different passion from us, but we all had the same goal at the end, is to be profitable.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, tell me where people can find you.
MattFamFarms.com, Matthews Family Farms of North Carolina, Inc. is our farm name, and my email is at mattfamfarms.com, and on Twitter you'll find me at mattfamfarms.com. You'll also be finding us at extremeag.farm. We will be coming there in March, and we'll be very out and available, and look forward to educating others and sharing the mistakes we've made, sharing the successes that we've figured out, and helping everyone become profitable and hopefully never have to deal with the stresses that we've dealt with.
What are you giving away free at your booth?
We're gonna have some T-shirts. We're gonna have some beer. We're gonna have some wine. We're gonna have it all up right when we do the launch there on Thursday at the Classic.
You know what I think the gold is of those shows is the hitch pin.
The hitch pin.
Yeah,
Hey, I'll have to bring that up.
They're expensive though.
Yeah, the trouble is going through the airport and explaining what you're doing with that pin there, and they look at you real funny.
Is that a hitch pin in your pocket, or? Kevin, thank you very much for your honesty and telling this story. I really do appreciate it. And everybody else, we hope you catch us next week.
Have a good.
And thank you for listening to the Shark Farmer Podcast. I am your host, Rob Sharkey. Please visit us at www.sharkyfarms.com. And just search for Shark Farmer to follow me on Twitter. Later.